This is Identity at the Center.
Welcome to the Identity at the Center podcast. I'm Jim McDonald. I'm in Rome, Italy, and we are having an IdentiBeer here in Rome. And I am going to go around and ask everyone what they think the biggest trend in identity and access management is, and get a few words from them, and we'll pull it together, and hopefully it makes a good episode. We'll see about that, but let's get going.
Hello guys, it's nice to be here in Rome. We have arranged the first Identity Beer, the Roman Identity Beer. Do like the Romans do, arrange the Identity Beer. No, they didn't, but it's a good. So I'm Andrea Rossi, the CEO and co-founder at IAMONES. The question is, what is the most important thing in IAM today? I think it's a bit of an obvious answer. The most important thing is to try to put the agents, the AI agents, into the usual and known identity frameworks that we use, or at least the identity practices in terms of governing, requesting, approving, so what is called the identity lifecycle. But there is, this, crossing between humans and semi-humans. The agent brings some interesting trick ingredients to the table. And the first one is that the human information, what they do, is basically sitting in traditional AGA platforms, while the agents per se are typically sitting in other platforms like Agents 360 or OpenAI or Anthropic, but then humans are using agents. So you need to understand what risk is taking place when human use agent. And I think you also know that one of the features of these agents is to use non-human identity or service accounts or service principals, but they also use your permission through auth tokens. So the biggest risk, it's that contamination. So for sure, the biggest trend in the IAM market is be able to understand the risk and govern the risk of human using agents. And I try to be specific, I mean personal agents, okay? And that for sure requires two things. The first one is being able to correlate information that are sitting in, I say traditional IGA systems with information on different sources. But the most important need for correlation is that agents are described in natural language, while traditional IGA platforms are described with rules, roles, and permissions. So you need really to, allow that correlation. And I personally think that the only way to do that human-like type of correlation is using AI-based IAM, or as we say in the case of IAMONES, born on the LLM type of identity platforms.
Well, it's my pleasure to be part of the Identity at the Center podcast again. I'm Marco Venuti. I'm at Thales in the Identity and Access Management Division. And I've been in the space for 25 years, and this is the third corporation in identity management that I had the pleasure to work for. And it's the second time I'm in this podcast. And today at Thales, I'm among those featuring the privilege of meeting customers and system integrators and practitioners worldwide. And you find me today in Rome, where we're having an IdentiBeer with another bunch of practitioners from the Italian community of identity. And I'm right in between conferences. I'm right back from the European Identity Conference, which was taking place in Berlin last week. Probably for the community the most interesting event of the year. Extremely well attended and with a great vibe and with a number of extremely interesting sessions, of course, these days on the agentic AI securitization space, which is shaping up and now finally transitioning from describing the nature of the problem, now finally into the nature of the solution to address the problem. Not the why, but the how. And I'm looking forward to Identiverse coming up in 2 weeks, where I will have the pleasure to be part of and deliver my session. But it's impossible not to notice for me in this dualism of European conference, the European identity by KuppingerCole and IdentiBeer, how despite being both identity conferences, they are in a way different in terms of which area of the identity domain is more addressed. Selected topics are, of course, a common denominator. Agentic AI security, authentication, and especially the transition to passwordless adoption is everywhere extremely well represented. Authorization, more than ever, is finally gaining traction. But a few things are very different. For instance, in Europe, you have a lot of attention on sovereignty. Geopolitical reasons and a regulatory requirement are, of course, driving that. And also the wallets and verifiable credential, again driven by European community directions, are significantly covered in a number of sessions and what the implications are and what is going to change. At IdentiBeer, those two subjects that I just mentioned are less represented. I mean, if you check the agenda, it's impossible not to notice that. That's, by the way, an exercise that I like doing every year to compare the relative weight of different identity topic on the two continents. And well, I think that's enough said from my side. I'm glad to be here, and it's a privilege again to be part of this podcast. And thanks, Jim, for having me. And with that, maybe I will let somebody else from this crowd to take the mic.
Okay, so today we are here in Rome, and I'm Alessandro Piscopo, head of AI and co-founder here at IAMONES. So I'm a bit biased on that. So I think that the biggest trend in IAM today is AI. In general, AI is a trend, okay, in a lot of sectors right now, but I think that also IAM is one of them. So I think that the topic here is AI for IAM or IAM for AI, okay? But I think that there is no winner in that, so let's say that both topics are really, really important. And my guess is that today we see a lot of discussions for IAM for AI, so like how can you secure your agents, so platforms are like developing features to basically onboard and secure the agents, govern the agents that you have in your enterprise. But I think that another topic will be how can AI help the IAM practitioners and most of all the business users in the on the identity domain. So how can I help with AI to make access requests, access reviews, reporting for the technical people simpler. So I think that this is one, I would say this is the biggest trend in IAM today. We just have to basically decide where we want to spend our, let's say, our energies for AI in IAM or IAM in AI. Personally, okay, my bet is that what will really be a revolution for IAM will be AI for IAM and not IAM for AI. So, yeah, there were a bit of, let's say, nice play of words. IAM, AI, they also like share the same vocals, so it's really easy to get confused. So hope that I didn't confuse you too much, and yeah, I leave it for the next one.
Okay, so I am Marco Serenelli. I am working basically in IAMONES, which is a startup that is integrating AI and it's integrating AI on top of IGA solutions. What do you think is the biggest trend on IAM right now? So I think that the biggest trend is how do you actually control agents? because I see that in the future there will be a lot of agents inside every company, which could be either personal agents or also agents that come from software. So maybe you use IAMONES. IAMONES has some kind of agents inside, so you have to maybe control them. But yes, so it's not really easy to capture the actual agent usage and also to control it, because the permissions that the agent has could be either delegated or given with a service account. So when it's given with a service account, everyone that has an access to that kind of agent is actually as the full access that the agent has, because again it's a service account, but some access can be also delegated with an OAuth token. So maybe those are a bit safer, but yeah. So still the question is, okay, we have a lot of agents that maybe our company will create for us, or maybe they will give us the possibility to create some kind of agents. The question still is, okay, I have agents, I have people. How do I know if they are actually allowed to use them, if they have any kind of risk while using them? So yeah, I think that the question is, okay, we have agents, we have the knowledge of the people. How do we merge this kind of stuff together to have a full control, basically, of what's happening inside our company? So yeah, I think that's all.
All right, that was excellent. Thank you for everyone who participated. Welcome to the Identity Center podcast. I'm Jim McDonald. I'm here with a new friend, Alessandro Piscopo, who is, what is your title at IAMONES?
Head of AI and co-founder. Yeah.
Head of AI and co-founder. So Alessandro and I talked on our way over here to this restaurant, this beautiful restaurant in Naples, Italy. We have the water in the background. We're going to do a new type of podcast. I call it our travel series, right? It's 3 courses of food and 3 courses of identity talk. In this case, it's going to be AI and identity talk. And so the idea was we would start with a starter. And what was the starter that we wanted to go with?
It was a mixture of seafood. Okay, so it was seafood. There was octopus, some fried fish. So, did you enjoy it?
I like the octopus the best, and actually my favorite was there's a smoked salmon over a ball of mozzarella. I wish there was more of that, but it was a wonderful dish. We have some great wine to go with it, and I wanted to ask you a question. So an identity question associated with our first course was just talk about the history of identity and AI. You know, AI, we've been talking about AI and identity for several years now. I feel like it was starting from, IAM for AI was single sign-on into AI, which is not that spectacular, not that interesting. But the crazy part was that was only like 3-4 years ago. It's come so far since then. But then when we talked about AI for identity, it was talking about, how do you take the functionality of AI, which I don't even know if we knew what that really meant at the time, and applying it to IAM. What's your perspective?
So, I think that today we are talking a lot about AI, okay, but we don't have to forget that AI is not something new. So, as you mentioned, we had first IAM for AI, but there was already AI for IAM, of course. We didn't have generative AI. We had something that were machine learning models. So AI, in a broader perspective, of course, are large language models that are like the last fancy and hyped AI models. But we also had like machine learning models, deep learning models, and they are here at least from a decade. And in identity products, we have seen them 7-8 years ago. Okay, so I think that the main difference between these kind of statistical models, because in a sense, machine learning is statistics. Okay, so there is maths behind, and it's pretty explainable the output of those models. The difference is that a machine learning model can give you like a score, can give you like yes and no answer, 1 or 0. So it's a really discrete output, okay, that is good for some specific use cases, but it's a feature. So it's a nice to have feature. It doesn't change your life, and it doesn't change the way you interact with the product.
I also feel like it was more an evolution of things that we've already been doing. At the time when it was happening, I said, this is big data, right? Big data was the term of the moment, the term du jour. The idea being that, hey, we're now taking all this machine learning data that's being captured by your footprint, and we're making sense of it, or we're recommending roles to you and things like the way it was manifesting and the way it was being derived seemed like an evolution. I think people knew in the background that, you know, what was being performed to get there was kind of revolutionary, but how it was affecting folks who implement identity, it was not revolutionary.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think that here, as you mentioned, it's a revolution, not an evolution, because now it changes the way you interact with the product, you interact with the data. So it's not just, let's say, that small feature that can help you for that specific use case, but it really changes how you can deal with the data. Okay, imagine like you have to craft like that custom query to retrieve the data, or you can just simply text in Italian, in Spanish, in American, in English, in whatever language it is, and you get the data out. So that's really changes the way you interact with the data, and also the reasoning part. So you can have a reasoning over the data that, of course, before you cannot have. So that's what I think is really important and really changes the let's say the impact of this technology, right, on people. So not only on products, but on people using the products.
That's right. So you're such a wonderful host. Let's get into enjoying some more of our food. We'll come back and we'll do a few more courses, and we will finish with a dessert and a final question.
Sure.
We have course number 2. It looks so good, so I don't want to talk too long. I want to get into eating. But I do want to get an explanation of 2 things. What is the dish? What is the wine pairing that we have? And then I want to talk about AI and identity, of course.
Sure. But let's start from the important stuff first, that it's food and wine.
Food and wine first, yeah.
Food and wine first. So these are Scialatielli alla pescatora. So basically it's pasta. It's particularly a pasta that they do in Naples, okay? Yeah. And it's pasta with seafood, okay? Then we have the wine, that it's Falanghina. And this is wine near Naples, but I have to say that from a person, so I was born in Florence, so a person from Tuscany won't tell you that this wine here is the best, because the best wine is in Tuscany, near Florence, but this is a good wine too, so next time I'll wait for you in Florence so that we can have a good Chianti wine. But this Falanghina is this white wine with this fish food, that's perfect.
I've already had a sip. It is wonderful. And the food looks wonderful. I will take a close-up of it. But I want to talk a little bit about AI and identity. So we joke around, my co-host Jeff Sedman and I, about everything is now 100% more AI. AI, but it's mostly being put onto existing technology, and that makes sense in a way. I mean, you're not going to throw out all the work that's been done over the last 10 or more years, but what is your opinion of that, and do you see in the future it's going to be more, AI as like the starting point for product?
Yeah, that's my take. So I guess that in the future and already now we are seeing companies building AI first, because I mean sometimes it's good to patch some AI here and there, but if your code base, if your product is 90% something that was written like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, putting some AI here and there, it's basically like the machine learning that I mentioned before. It's a feature, It's a specific feature specific for that use case, but it doesn't change the world, So my take is that there will be, and it's already like that, the new products are all basically AI first, So the core engine is some AI agents, some orchestration, of agents. Of course, as I mentioned before, it's not all LLMs, it's not all agents. We still have code, we still have boundaries and guardrails in place, and we don't have to throw away everything of the past, So of course, in the past there were good products, and we don't have to throw away everything. We just need to use what was good of the old products, but rethinking them in a new way and having at the core of the system something that is not a rule written, hard-coded in the code, but something that can dynamically behave and give you answers based on what you require, It could be in American, could be in Italian, could be in the Naples dialect. So I think that that's the difference, Because when you put something of AI around, let's say an old card, of the 2000, is still like an old fuel engine, If you want like the Tesla, the hydrogen car, you need to start fresh, So
I think there's a lot of truth to that. We have to start fresh, but we also have to build the Tesla and hydrogen car knowing that there's a lot of other cars on the road that have been built over time, and not everything can switch over at once. It does make sense to me that there's a transitionary period, but at some point, like, these are new tools that people want to take advantage of. In IAM, and IAM I've always thought of as like it's at the center, it's the glue that holds all the pieces together, and so it's a perfect place to really test out and take advantage of the new technology.
Yeah, I agree, and also that's what we are seeing also in our experience, because as you know, I mean, as IAMONES, we don't say, hey, throw away your existing IGA, we come with these LLMs, agents, and so what we do is we sit on top of the existing layer, because we know that there will be a transition, So we're not so stupid to think, hey, you invested millions in your current sale point, one identity implementation, you throw away everything, right? So there will be a transition period, but I think that now we are enough mature, in the AI space to start using these products, see the difference between the standard products, legacy products, and the new one. And then you can choose, of course. That's why, let's say, we have an old world and a new world. And I think that it's transitioning to this new world is, let's say, this is a good moment to do that, right? We have ChatGPT since 2022, now it's 2026. We have been hearing about AI in 4 years, and companies have developed systems that uses those tools and this technology in a way that is controlled, let's say.
I also feel like when we had that ChatGPT moment, kind of like the iPhone moment, it changed the game. In fact, I would say the ChatGPT moment was even more profound.
Yep.
I'd say it was more profound from the standpoint that, I think everybody knew iPhone was going to radically change how we do things and make us more mobile. But I think this is even, it's like, wow, like the future is here. We can actually see it. And that was so immature versus where it is now. And it's only been, 2 years?
Yep.
So I think that I guess the point that I'm trying to get to is that I think people are unsure, what are things going to look like in 2 years?
Yeah, and by the way, I can tell you also a good analogy, okay, of why. A good analogy of how I think that also AI is a bit different between like the iPhone moment that you mentioned. So I can do that analogy with my grandmother, okay? My grandmother, when the iPhone came out, she didn't know what an iPhone was, at least after 5-6 years when the iPhone was released, okay? My grandmother, when AI came out, she thought for 2 days that she was speaking to her friend. Instead, it was like Google's AI on her phone, okay? So also my grandmother, my grandfather, they know what AI is. So I think that this is a kind of, let's say, measure, okay, to understand that this kind of technology is impacting us, okay, in our life, not only us as young people, not you, but also like people of an older age, let's say.
Yeah.
So
I am of an older age.
yeah,
but
no,
that's fine.
he's I told Jim off camera. I hope to be like that at 52 years old, right?
So if you want to be on the IDAC podcast, just give me compliments.
Yeah, that's the trick, right?
I also feel like we're in this moment where AI could grow exponentially, but the potential barrier is, will there be enough compute resources available to grow fast enough? I know this is not AI for IAM. This is AI in general, right?
Yeah.
Do you? I know we have like ChatGPT Pro license, $20 a month, and you get so much for that $20. You probably get more than $20 of value. You're probably using more than $20 of compute.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I mean, are we going to hit that wall, and what is that going to look like?
So I think that if we continue with these kind of models, okay, honestly, I think that the providers, okay, like OpenAI, Claude, they will increase, okay, their. Until now, we have seen like pretty a cost per token decreasing, but I think that they just absorbed the cost. Okay, they didn't want to impact the users, but at some point they need to reach profitability, so they will have to raise costs, the price. Okay, but I think that here there will be. I mean, that's my hope, and it will be like that for sure. So basically, what we have today, okay, so now we are entering more in the AI space, not IAM, but we have Transformer, that is the architecture of this large language model, okay? That's how the architecture is called. And I think that we need a change, okay? So the research and development should find a way to have another kind of architecture that is less expensive in terms of compute, okay?
Yeah.
So we had our huge boom with the transformer architecture, and I think that we have maxed out, let's say, that architecture. We reached really good results. Then I think that here in months we'll have another huge architecture breakthrough that will, let's say, will also take into consideration the profitability and compute efficiency, because for now we are just saying, hey, these models are great, let's don't care for a second about profitability, but that will come for the big infrastructure providers like OpenAI, Microsoft Cloud, Google.
I mean, what I understand is the compute is the processing power plus the energy. The cost of the energy is going up, but potentially the processor is becoming more efficient, right? That NVIDIA and companies like that are creating more efficient chips, but the bottleneck could be the energy side because it takes so long to bring energy online. And now we're seeing, oh my gosh, we need so much energy, but we can't bring it online quickly. And at least in the US, I don't know if it's as much a problem here, nobody wants power plants built in their backyard because they're dirty and things like that.
Yeah. So that's true. So the hardware will for sure become more efficient in the future. But I think that the real bottleneck is the software. So basically how these models are built. So by nature, these models consume a lot. So the hardware can become 30% more efficient, but it's still a lot. So I think that the real breakthrough will be on the architectural part, so these models will be lighter in terms of computing. And also, by the way, we are seeing that in the smaller models, because now we all know like the large language models, okay, and they are huge, okay? When you are using OpenAI, when you are using Claude, they are really huge models with like 1 trillion parameters. Then we have also seen like smaller models by Google, okay? They are like Gemma 4 billion parameters. And these kind of LLMs can also run on your Mac, on your PC. So that's also another angle, okay? So we can have like these really, really smart guys that are the large language models like Claude, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and whatever. But then we have also large language models, but with less parameters, enough intelligence to do like that precise task.
That's right.
That's also another angle of another point of view.
So more precision.
Yeah. So you get the more or less the same result, but with way less, let's say, less compute power, and so that's another angle.
Interesting conversation. It'll be interesting to see how it affects the identity market, because if API and tokens become more and more expensive, how will that flow into the cost of identity software, and how will that affect the uptake of new features that are based on AI?
So I think that the direction will be, in the long term, as I said, this architectural breakthrough will come, okay? But in the short term, I think that the right, and that's also basically what we do, we don't use like the 1 trillion parameters models for everything, okay? We know that there are some tasks where we have to use them, but in other tasks, like smaller models, way cheaper and smart enough, can reach the same results. So I think that it's a trade-off. It's like a bit of suiting your, let's say, your AI product.
Narrowing or scoping?
Exactly.
Okay.
You have to, first of all, start from the task. So what do you have to do? Then you test a bit of some large language models, okay? You start with the best one, and then you go down with lower, smaller models, okay? And then you find out which is the best trade-off between quality, speed, and cost. So that's my guess, and that's also what we are doing as a company. So
it's such an interesting conversation. So, but I've got this food staring me in the face.
Yeah,
we'll come back. Alessandro, sadly, this is the third course in the finito, right? Is that Italian for finish?
It's finito.
So, talk a little bit about our third course here, right? Dessert, my favorite.
So we have tiramisu here. So I'm a huge fan. So usually, even if I don't want a dessert and there is tiramisu, I take it. Okay. And you have a baba, that it's a typical dessert here in Naples. So I hope you will enjoy it. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is live, the espresso for you, Jim. So it's.
I have to have it, man. I'm in Italy. Excited to dive in, but if we could talk a little IAM before we have dessert, and kind of a finito question in the style of identity at the center, or as we are often called, AI at the center. I'd like you to put your future cap on and think about what is life like for the identity practitioner in 2030, so 4 years from now. And I'll start by saying what I think, right? I've always felt like AI is an enabler for us to do more with less. And when I think about where that less would go, there are a lot of organizations today who don't have the resource to do identity right. So, and I don't think it's that, we had a skills gap, right? The skills gap was, there's so much cybersecurity need, but not enough people. Now we don't talk about that as much, and it's not because the need has gone away. We don't talk about it as much because the organizations don't have the money. And I think AI could help us address that and say, we can bring cybersecurity down to more of a common level and allow the practitioners that exist today to do cybersecurity at a greater scale. So that's how I think, like the IAM practitioner, many more people will be serving multiple organizations and doing things maybe as a service, but it's going to be highly dependent on AI making that possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in 2030, okay, the life of the IAM practitioner will be, let's say, nothing different compared to the software developer life, right? I mean, today it's already happening now, right? So the software developer today has a lot of more tools that assist the software developer guy doing his job, right? So now you have a kind of assistant 24 hours that can help you. So basically before, if you didn't know something, you went to Google and you tapped it, and Stack Overflow was our best friend as software developers. Today we have different best friends that are called Claude, Gemini, and GPT, and I think it will be the same also for the IAM practitioner. What is lacking today for IAM practitioners is a product, okay, that can help them, as now Claude Code is helping software developers. IAM practitioner, they need their own Claude Code for IAM, okay? We hope
like
that
a co-work for
exactly
identity.
a co-work for identity, basically.
So who builds that? Does Anthropic build that, or do
no? At the moment, there is, let's say, there is no co-work for identity practitioners. We aim as IAMONES to help them, okay, for also with that. So, and we embrace both visions of helping the technical side of the company, but as you mentioned, I think that also some, let's say, business guys, okay, can also be more aware of cyber and identity when you have a tool that it's not complex as hell, that you have to code and you have like crappy UIs here and there, but you can just type in, getting some data, getting some information, and can guide you in the process.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a kind of democratization of identity too. So
that's a great idea. I haven't thought of that before, but it does seem like that's plausible. I feel like there are so many professions that we can't wait for Anthropic to build a co-work for each different profession. Obviously, I think identity is extremely important, but I don't think that, in my experience, if they build a platform like Apple did with the Apple App Store ecosystem and allow private developers to build businesses within the platform, that's a winning strategy. So I hope that the big frontier models will realize that and say, hey, it's not all about making as much money for us, but creating a platform so entrepreneurs can build their own features that they know that business better than any generalized model can.
yeah, and also because I think that that should be the main, let's say, the main goal, because we cannot hope that Anthropic will develop like a specialized identity platform, also because it's a niche, right? I mean, it's a niche inside cybersecurity, so Anthropic will do the platforms for finance guys, for, in a broader sense, cybersecurity guys, but we have the lucky also that identity is a small niche of people, but it's really important for enterprises, okay? So probably Anthropic, OpenAI, as you can see, are more B2C. I mean, they're offering a lot of B2C services. Yeah. And then they are building also platform from companies, of course, but they are more, let's say, for the, they try to, yeah, maybe we should take that again. Because basically what I wanted to say is that the
best if you go back to like midpoint and then just start over.
Yeah.
That way we can edit that in.
Yeah, sure. Just let me rephrase the sentence, because what I wanted to say is that Anthropic will go like for the finance guys, for the consulting, like big businesses, okay, where a lot of people are involved and employed, not for the small business of identity. So, I mean, it's a huge business, but made of not a lot of people, right?
Well, they came out with a platform called Mythos, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't really get to see everything behind the curtain, but we did see the headlines where it found all these zero-day bugs. I think every person who knows anything about AI realizes that, of course, AI is going to be better at finding bugs than a person.
Yeah.
But it's so, in a way it's impressive, but in a way it's not impressive. I say deploy an identity system to a company of 20,000 plus users and connect hundreds of systems. It's not that that's always technically hard, but it takes a long time because you have politics. It's funny because I feel like when I've brought up and talked to people about, well, what do you think AI can do this, AI can do that, I think everybody realizes, for example, I talked to my co-host Jeff and with Martin Kupinger about physical manifestation of AI, in other words, humanoid robots, and we talked about autonomous cars, right? And they brought up, well, the laws, right? The laws that they pass, the laws have to allow this thing. It's that, but it's also the politics of, like, within an organization. It's nice to think I'm the IAM guy with my AI tool and I'm just going to connect to 100 systems. Technically, it might not be difficult, but if you've rolled out an IAM system that has all the technology, you know that technology is not usually the issue. The issue is usually that people won't let you connect to their production applications and start messing with the users and giving people permission. They want to see it proven first, so it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think that here we will have, like in many other fields, okay, also for IAM guys that today are not, probably today the IAM practitioner is not that helped like other, like for example software developers. We know that AI has a huge impact on them. Also while working on them, okay, I see that for them AI, it didn't have a huge impact like in other fields, okay, so we should be good, okay, and also other vendors should be good to make them possible for them. So to allow them having like the same help that software developers have today with AI, okay, but the same in the identity space, in the identity field. So,
yeah.
Well,
I have to say thank you for meeting me here in Naples and showing me this wonderful 3-course meal and having this discussion with me. And thank you for everyone who tunes in to the podcast on a regular basis. Drop a comment in the comments if you're watching us on YouTube and let us know that you enjoyed it or if you have recommendations for the future. Hopefully the background noise wasn't too much. We won't know until we get into production, but Jeff Stedman, who usually edits all the podcasts, he is a wizard. And I have no doubt he'll make the most of whatever we give him. So that's it for now. Thank you, everyone. And on the next one, we'll see you. Goodbye.
thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to Identity at the Center. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit the website at identityatthecenter.com. See you next time on Identity at the Center.